Okay.
That's cool. All right.
You can go ahead.
So yeah, we're gonna get started. Okay. So let me. Okay, I just want to go over the front end example I created and and posted on GitHub. Some Sam is also did a great job. He made some changes and some improvements and created a pull request. Um, you guys should try it too and learn how to actually properly do this thing of contributing to open source projects, and it will also help you like in your hackathon projects, and you will be collaborating with your peers in your projects. uh, so yeah, it doesn't have to be anything much, just anything even small, some comment or anything. You can just go and check out the repository and put some changes. You fork it first and you have it on your account, then you clone it locally. Um, After cloning it, you create a branch, you put some changes, you do some changes, you commit them, then you create a pull request. There's a lot of improvements that need to be done on that example, and you can practice on it and learn how to do it. I'll be reviewing and maybe explaining what you might do better or what need to be improved and anything and everything. Okay, so let me share my screen now and go through the example so you can understand all the parts I explained in our last session, but this time now it will be really working, and I'll also explain the error we faced last time, why we were getting it. So sharing the screen now. Okay, you can see it now, right? Mm,
Yeah, we can see the code.
okay,
Yes, we can see.
okay, cool. Um, Let me close everything. Okay, so this is the project. Um, I think I've sent. I think I already sent a link to this to the repository. I think I'll also send it again, maybe in an email tomorrow, so a lot of people can see it again. So what we used to do, like when you create an ASO project by default, uh, it doesn't come with a front end. I think I explained this last time, but maybe we didn't record the last session, so for others to catch up. So for an ASO project, by default it comes without a front end, so you have to create a front end yourself. You have to add a front end yourself. So but other canisters like Motoko canisters and Rust canisters, they come with front end by default. Front end by default, and it will be easy to just like modify and put the framework you want in the front end. So let's say with React, Vue.js, Next.js, and anything else. But for a TypeScript, you have to set it up yourself. But it's really easy, and also with this example, it's not something you should worry about. You can definitely use this example as a template for your project front end, and also there's a repository with other examples again for other front ends. If you remember the link to the tutorial I sent last time, the lecture you guys were supposed to watch, there are some examples from Code and State, the guys who created that lecture, and those examples can help you to set up your front ends with other frameworks you want. So let me just show you the examples. Code and State. You can just search Code and State. Myself, I have it starred, but you can just search Code and State, or maybe Code and State GitHub. And then you can go. Okay, this is something else. No, this is something else. Anyway, I will send the link. So this is the Code and State repository organization, I mean, and then there's this TypeScript bootcamp they have here. TypeScript bootcamp. It's there on the main page, popular repositories. And you guys should also check it out. Like if you want to learn some other, how to do other extra stuff with the TypeScript development, this bootcamp really goes in detail about many aspects. You can also find it on YouTube. You can also find it on YouTube, Code and State. Sorry, Code and State. State. And yeah, let's come to playlists. Yeah, you can check out this Web3 with the TypeScript bootcamp. It's quite detailed with some lectures that includes the founders, the creators of the ASO package, the ASO CDK themselves. The guy called Jordan is the one who will be giving some other lectures. So you should check it out. If you are also interested in Motoko and everything else, you can check this out, Code and State. So yeah, here my point was about front end examples. So if you come to Code and State GitHub here, and then go to their TypeScript bootcamp, you can see these templates here. So you can see Next, ASO, Vite, React, Svelte, Vue.js. So you can see all these templates for all the frameworks you might need to use for your project, the ones you are used to. Myself, I like React, and so that's the one I will be showing. But if you like Vite, if you like Next or Svelte, feel free to go ahead. The templates are here and free for you to use. So in this example, I'm using React. So there is the backend now. That by default there will just be a source directory and your index tx file for the backend code will be in this source. But now we have a backend directory, and now in this backend, that's where we have now the index tsx for the backend logic of the canister, for the backend canister. And now in the source in the source we have the front end now, the assets, the components, like this is React stuff now with the app, the index, and everything. And then our DFX JSON is also changed. We have this message board, the backend canister, and we now have the front end canister now, and we have the message board as a dependent of the front end canister. So this means like every time you want to deploy the front end canister itself, it automatically deploy with the backend canister because we listed it as a dependence. If you also want to, okay, and then we have the internet identity canister as well. So for local development, this is really the best way to go about it. You need to have your local internet identity, and you just set it up like this. Then when you deploy it, it will be deployed. It will be deployed. So it makes it easier when you want to call your backend function. Since your backend is local, if you use a live internet identity, it won't really work or verify the the signatures. So you need to use a local identity. So as I was saying, if you also want the identity to be deployed at the same time with the front end, you can just, as you can see, this is just an array. So we can also pass it again, internet identity. But in this case, I don't know. I just want to use the backend as a dependency. And then, yeah, so that's it. If you can have multiple backends as well, you can have another backend here. And maybe backend 2.ts. Then you can have canister logic in here as well. And what you just have to do is to come to the DFX JSON, and then set up the backend too. Then you change the path backend to
I'm not just spelling it for backend.
okay. Yeah, backend to, okay, and again there is a hyphen, right? No, it's fine. Backend to backend to, backend to ISO. Um,
Okay,
this
Mr. Imag, I wanted to ask you, why
yeah,
are we changing everything to backend to?
this is a second canister. I'm saying like you can have multiple canisters, right? Like multiple backend canister. So you see in this package JSON we have canisters, right? And then we are declaring canisters inside here. So we have the message board, like this is the one. Okay, this is the one pointing to this index TSX, right? But I can have a second canister as well, the one I put in the backend canister. So to have that canister deployed, I need to configure it in my DFX JSON. So maybe Yeah, we have the message board. It's pointing to this index, so I can actually like rename this one to, what is it? Message, right? And then what I will have to do is to come here. It's now pointing to message. Yeah, message. I'm going to delete this. Yeah, let's say now. Start. Effects deploy. Yeah, so creating backend 2, creating internet identity, creating message board, yep. Building the front end, declarations files, and there you have it. Yeah, now we have the front end canister, the internet identity canister, the backend 2 I just created here, pointing to this, and the message board pointing to this message board. So maybe to make this different, maybe we need to change. Anyway, I think you get the idea. This canister will be having its different kind of logic. I just copied it just to be quick, but you can put a whole new different logic in this canister, and yeah, you can have as many canisters as you want, as many backend canisters, but with the one front end canister. You can also configure like 2 front end canisters in one project, but it's kind of complex. The easiest way is just to have one front end canister, but the back end canister you can have as many as you would like. Okay, so I think you got that part. So now this was not really, I can just undo these changes. We don't really need this backend 2 canister. Just need this message board canister. Let me just remove it. And yeah. Yeah. We now have our front end tenant identity and message board. Right. So I'm using Vite with React. So I can just do npm start. And this is my front end. Okay, cool. And this is my front end. So you see, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. So if you want to play with front end, come and do some magic here and make this more beautiful, and maybe center a div and put this on the center here. Okay, so
HTML.
log in to send message. Yeah,
React.
it's React. Yeah, reactive HTML. You can write JavaScript inside HTML. That's how React works. So let me show you. So these are the components. This is the messaging component. So yeah, you can see it's HTML, right? But I'm also using a front-end library called Tailwind CSS. It makes it very easy and fast to write CSS. I don't have to worry about classes and everything. I just put what I want where I want it, and that's all. It's pretty fast to style with Tailwind. So yeah, and okay, so let me go through this. So it's saying log in to send messages. I can log in. There is an error. Let me see this. So we deployed the internet identity. Then we need it here.
Enoch,
Yeah.
can you use can you use the IC pin and the canister here URL?
Okay. Okay.
I just want to confirm something.
Okay. Cool. Let's wait a second. When?
For the front end.
Okay. Cool. Just wait a second. Just want to put this right first. Anyway, let me do this. Cool. Just want to test this out. Oh wait, I'm already using it as you were saying, as you were asking. You see, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not working. So it's not working because I deployed it without the correct canister ID. So let me deploy it once again.
Oh, okay.
The the, the problem, or I can say the challenge with using this local replica, this for the front end, um, in development, is because like when you do any small change, you will need to run dfx deploy, and you can see how slow that will be. So it's good when you want to test some other IC, some actual IC related aspects locally. But when you are doing like fast development, you shouldn't use this one. Yeah, so as you requested, same.
But they will just show the same result.
Yeah, it works the same most of the time. Sometimes
Most
it
of the
can,
time.
yeah, sometimes some aspects won't really work locally. Some real IC aspects won't really work locally. So that's when you usually have some problems. But in most cases, it works. It just works as a
Okay,
lifesaver,
boys.
as a React lifesaver. So you can see I can actually do everything else here. I can create the identity. I can create the identity and yeah, I can type a message, a nice title.
Yeah, now it's nice looking.
Yeah, this is the code. Yeah, now it's nice. Now we are logged. So it's saying so before you log in, it's saying like log in to see the messages. And now this is the URL, and then hit send message, sending, and then there you have the message here. You can send the message. Another one. Message. URL. And you can send it. Um, yeah. So your system it works just fine. This one, but its only challenge is on development. When you're developing, you want to see your changes real quick, especially when you're developing the front end. Especially when you are working on the front end, if you change a background of something, the font of something, you want to see it real quick, but you have to run dfx deploy to see the changes. So it's just better to just just use the server for
Okay.
React.
Okay.
Okay, so another important thing is is so as you can see, I logged in here with the internet identity, and but here I'm not logged in. I should be logged in because like this is the same app, right? So this is the thing with internet identity now. It for each URL it generates a new like private public key pair for authentication. So now if I want to log in on here, even with the same identity for this new URL, it will be having a different principal. So I will need to log in again, and yeah, and now I can see the messages, but I will be having a different principal. I will be having a different principal. So yeah, now let's get into the code and let me show you how all of this is working. All of this is
So before you,
okay. Yeah, quiet.
so so if I use different browsers, I will get different principal IDs.
If you use
Or
different browsers for the same URL, it will just work fine.
it's the same ID.
Yeah. You get the ID is same, but the the principles now that are generated for each URL address for them.
Uh,
But there is a
so
workaround. Let's say you have one application and you want users on that application to use the same principle they used on the other application. There is a way you can set up that is pretty easy. It's called the alternative origins. So I can log in here with the same with my identity, and I'll get the same principal. Then I can log in on another on the other application with the same ID and get the same principal. So yeah, there's that. You had another question.
okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. So now into the code. Okay, so you don't really have to follow exactly like the setup, the logic, like for login. Yeah, you can follow it. But let's say for application, you might like in this one, I put the login functions and everything inside the app TSX. In your application, you can put them elsewhere or maybe in your React context or something, and if the values are available to all the components in your project. Uh, but yeah, this was just like the quick way to get this. So this is the login function, right? It's using this library auth client, and then you basically can set the timeout and okay, so here on the auth client where we're actually doing the actual login, we are here just put an environment variable to check if we are live or if we are local. So if you are live, like you see, it's process.env.tfx, right? It's here. I'm pointing to this thing, right? So it's local. So if it's local, we are using this local internet identity. But if it's live, it will be IC and we'll use this one. And you have the live internet identity. So another point to note, you don't need, when you deploy live, you have to remove this. You have to remove this internet identity. You don't need to deploy this. So another important thing to keep. And then, yeah, so that's the flow. So we are calling, we call this login function, and then it authenticates, and then on success, you can do, it's another important section of the login here. You can do multiple things here for your application logic. Let's say you want to ask something, you want to do anything, you can do it in this on success handler. So what I'm basically doing is when the login is success, I'm calling this check auth function. So this check auth function, what is doing is setting, is really setting the is authenticated to true. This is authenticated variable to true. This one. So and then I'm passing it into my components, like in here and in here, and then you can start doing a lot of logic, a lot of different logic in your components, like when the user is not logged in, like like for instance, here is authenticated and then a question mark, is the user authenticated? If the user is authenticated, show this, right? else, if they are not, show this login to send messages. So I can log out and then I logged out. It's set. Okay, yeah. So let me explain another function, the logout function. So you see, so the login function, when the login is successful, is authenticated, is set to true. And then when the logout is called, is authenticated, set to false. And then, so it's available to my components here, to the messaging component. I passed it as a prop, as you can see here. So it's available. So now I can do all this logic now with it in my component. Yeah, there's that. And then so let me log in real quick. Okay, cool. Right. And then inside the messaging component, now we're doing the calling to the backend now. So I once touched about this in the last session about making authenticated calls to the backend. So what you need to make an authenticated call to the backend is the identity. So you get the identity when the user is logged in. So you not you can have it without when a user is not logged in, but it will be like an anonymous identity. An anonymous identity, if an anonymous identity, it's the same. It have like the same principal ID. I don't have time to show you, but anyway, there will be an identity. If your user is not logged in, there is an identity. It will be like an anonymous identity with a non-string for it. And then when you are logged in now, you can just pass the identity in this agent here, and then now you can, and then when you pass the identity, you can now pass it in the, okay, you can pass it in the agent, and then you pass the agent in the actor. The actor with the canister ID, this canister with the canister ID for the backend canister, and then the ID of factory. So one that is also important, this ID of factory. They are all both generated when you deploy the canister. They are here in the declarations here. Yeah, the ID of factory. So they are basically allow you to interface with your backend canister. So where are we? Right. Yeah, so you need the canister ID, and then you need this ID of factory, and then the agent. And then there's another important thing. You need, when you are doing local development, you need to call this function agent dot fetch root key on the identity. Only use it in local development, but not in production. In production, you should definitely remove this. It allows like the, what is it, to sign the internet identity with the identity, the front end, I mean, with the with your backend. So on the live network, this is done by the internet computer automatically for you, but on the local, you need to do this. So, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind, and not something you should stress about. It usually gives you errors anyway, and you know where the problem is. And Yeah, I'm doing most of the talking, and our time is almost running out. You guys must have questions and other things I might have just jumped. You might need to understand. You can go ahead and ask. Yeah, so on messages, this is the send message function. Where is it? Send message function. So after the message have been successfully sent, await backend add message and then this message object. Then when it's done, I'm setting these values to the default and then I'm calling the get messages function. So that's why it's behaving like this. Like when I call it, the message is appearing immediately. So any questions? You're okay, Sam, Mega.
Yeah, me, I'm good. I think my
Okay.
questions are answered. Questions which I
Yeah,
had.
so far so good.
Okay, cool. Mega, you had a problem with your project, like you reported. Did you finally manage to fix it?
Actually, I'm trying to solve it by I just copied the other files for the message board, and so I'm trying to change them just to suit my new project.
Okay. Um, okay. So if you guys don't have further questions, I think it's good news that maybe you really understood and yeah, that's great. So Mr. Confidence, if you have something else to share.
Yeah.